All right, we're going to tackle a word today, a word that comes with, just centuries of baggage, a word that probably carries some real weight for a lot of us. But we're going to look at it in a way I guarantee you've never thought about before.
Look, let's just get this out of the way right now. This is not a sermon. We are not here to talk about morality or what you should or shouldn't do. We're here to take an idea apart and see how it really works.
So that word is sin. Yeah, it's a heavy one, for sure. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if it's not actually about being bad at all? Okay, so I want you to try something. Just for a minute, forget everything you associate with that word. Forget morality. Instead, let's talk about this like it's a problem of geometry, of architecture.
First up, let's unpack the way most of us, by default, think about messing up. This is the moral framework pretty much all of us inherited.
You know the drill, right? We imagine life as this series of forks in the road. There's a good path and a bad path. We stand there, we think it over, and then we go and choose the bad one. And the story we tell ourselves, it's always the same. I failed. I didn't have enough willpower. I just need to try harder next time.
But here's the thing. What if that whole way of thinking is just wrong? What if there's a totally different blueprint for understanding why we screw up?
Okay, get ready for this because this is the core idea of this whole explainer. Sin isn't about wrongdoing, it's about misalignment. The problem isn't the single action, it's a deeper state of being out of sync with what's real.
And this right here is the absolute game changer. See, the old way says it's a failure of your will, you chose wrong. But this new structural view, it says it was a failure of your perception, you saw wrong.
And that leads to a pretty wild conclusion, right? It means the action, the thing we beat ourselves up about, is just the final domino to fall. The real problem, the distortion in how we see things, happened way before that.
Okay, let me give you an analogy that makes this super clear. Imagine you're driving, but your windshield has this invisible warp in it. From where you're sitting, it looks like the straight road ahead actually curves to the left. It's not a guess, it's what you see. So what do? Well, you steer left to follow the road, and bam! You're in a ditch. Anyone watching would think you're a horrible driver. But see, the problem wasn't your driving skill, your willpower. The problem was the warped glass. You were driving perfectly based on the bad data you were getting.
All right, so that's the big question then, isn't it? If our perception is like a warped windshield, well, what's warping it in the first place?
It comes down to this really fundamental human mechanism, identity protection. It's that moment our brain decides that protecting our ego is more important than seeing what's really there. And in that split second, we're not dealing with reality anymore. We're dealing with our own defenses.
And this defense system, it basically has two main tools in its toolkit: pride and shame. But we've got to stop thinking about these as just, feelings. We need to see them for what they are: functions. From this structural point of view, pride isn't just being arrogant. It's the brain's emergency brake for when uncertainty feels way too dangerous.
In other words, it's the refusal to be confused. You know that feeling, right? You're in an argument and you get this sinking feeling you might be wrong, but instead of hitting pause, you just double down? That's pride kicking in. You're not fighting for truth anymore. You're fighting for your own ego to survive.
So the other tool is shame. And just like with pride, we're not talking about a passive feeling of guilt here. Nope, this is an active system that kicks in whenever being vulnerable feels too risky. If pride is the tool that builds a fake wall of certainty, shame is the tool that hides all the cracks in that wall.
Put simply, shame is the refusal to be seen. It's all that energy we burn trying to manage how people see us, making damn sure no one catches a glimpse of the messy, confused, imperfect reality going on inside.
So let's look at the actual sequence of events here, because this is so important. See, we get obsessed with step 3, the bad behavior, but that's not the main event. The real sin, the actual misalignment, happened way back at step 1. The moment pride or shame took over, our perception was already broken. The action was just the inevitable outcome.
So, if just gritting our teeth and trying to be better doesn't work, then what does? What's the fix here?
Just look at the difference here. It's night and day. The old system is always asking this anxious question, what should I do? The goal is to be good, and the method is just more willpower. But the structural system asks something totally different. Wait a second, what am I actually seeing right now?
The goal isn't goodness, it's clarity. And the tool isn't force, it's self-awareness. And get this way of thinking even changes how we see a word like confession. It stops being this heavy moral thing about guilt, and it becomes more like a GPS reset. It's just about stating the facts of your internal state. Hey, just for the record, my perception is totally offline right now. I'm scared, so I'm defending myself.
And this flips forgiveness on its head, too. It's not some gift you bestow on someone. It's just a consequence. I mean, think about it. If your car gets a flat tire, you fix the tire. You don't stay mad at the car, right? Once the structural problem is solved, there's nothing left to forgive. The problem is just gone.
Okay, so what's the end game here? What's the real reward for doing this hard work of looking at our own defenses and trying to see clearly?
You know, all those rules we make for ourselves, all those resolutions, they're kind of an admission that we can't trust ourselves to see clearly. I mean, you don't need a rule that says don't walk into the wall if you can actually see the wall. When your perception is clear, the right action just becomes obvious.
And that really leaves us with a final, pretty challenging question to sit with. In those parts of your life where you just feel stuck, where you keep making the same mistake over and over, what if the answer isn't to muscle through it, but to just look? What would happen if you stopped defending yourself and just looked at what was really going on? It is for sure a vulnerable place to be, but if this model is right, it might be the only way to finally stop steering into the ditch.